live. Welcome, everybody. This is my new podcast. My name is Rebecca Montoya. This is Out of Control with me and my guest. And today is Kass Thomas. Welcome, Kass. Thank you so much
Thank
for being here.
you. I love that out of control. It's
Yeah,
so funny 'cause a lot of people think out of control means like, right?
yeah.
And what is it for you? What is out of control for you?
For me, it has been always like have fun. And
Mm.
how is it for you?
It's like not being in control of myself, not controlling myself, you know?
But what
And
do you mean, Cass? Because sometimes when we say I'm not controlling myself, it's like I'm gonna go aggressive or I'm gonna go be.
haywire, right?
Uh-huh.
Exactly. But that you are sort of, it's almost like this shield that you have. Because when I first heard with Access this out of control, right? And I was like, it's about not controlling other people, you know what I mean? Not being a control freak, right? And that's okay. And that's really quite easy, actually, in versus not controlling yourself. You know how when you have a certain control of yourself, you've got this shield and you're like smiling and you're saying the right thing and you're doing the right thing and you're acting in the right way, right? And so it's like functioning from a space of self-judgment, from a place of self-judgment, that you're trying to get it right, you're trying to do it right, you're trying to. And I remember, honey, when I was in Costa Rica, I had a 7-day event, and one of my first, and I was doing horse riding. Now I had done horse riding as a teenager, right? And I was 14. This is it was another life, right? And so Gary Douglas was, taking the beginners around, then the medium level, then the high level. So I was at the beginner level, and I wasn't letting go of control. I was on the horse like this, And at a certain point, he said, "Okay, that's great. You've done great." And I was like, "Give me one more chance." And I really had to push myself beyond control, out of control, like just expand the space without contracting and controlling it. And maybe when we're functioning from control, we are actually thinking about what other people are thinking about us, how other people are seeing us, how they're hearing us, how they're. So we're trying to do something in a way that doesn't get them to judge us.
Exactly. We're trying to control the judgment that they could have about us, that is always a lie, and that we can never control the judgment. Like people is gonna judge, like whatever. It's not something that you can control.
Exactly. And so when I pushed myself out of control, and I went around and I was so present with the horse. And I got back to where he was standing and he was like, "That was amazing." And there was a whole group of people up in the stalls that stood up and started applauding. And I just looked at them and I received it, but without any judgment of, "Oh, I'm so happy," or "I'm not." And I was like, "Oh, wow." But it wasn't about them. It was about me and being out of control, being willing to give up control. And the horses are a great help with that.
Basically, like animals, nature, they don't judge you or they don't judge us. They don't know about judgment, so it's really easy, like be with an animal if like receive and let you go. If
Well,
you
it's easy if you're willing to be out of control. Because then I was riding, on the horse, and I was like, okay, connecting with the horse, pulling up energy from the ground through the horse, expanding the horse's own riding, and I'd say, come on, to get him out of just galloping, right? So that it would be a smooth ride. And Rebecca, the moment he would go into a smooth ride, I'd be like, control, pull back.
right.
And it would take me so long to get him. That was the first day. So the second days and stuff, I was like, present and doing it. And I said, "Oh my God, this is a whole hour. I'm going to have to be so present." for an entire hour.
Oh my God. No, it's funny because we do that with money, for example. Like so many people, they are complaining about money that they would like to receive more and get more money. But in the moment that you ask a question and you receive it, like you allow yourself to be out of control and receive from the universe, it's like, oh no, this is too much, or what did I do wrong? I did wrong or something. It's funny because what you just described with the horse is exactly what I get when I'm facilitating people about money. Like, really be willing to be out of control with everything.
Exactly, exactly, and different ways of communicating that out of control, not stopping you by controlling what shows up and what you're able to do, right? And that I just was doing this money call series, and I was talking about when people owe money, when people owe you money, how you are controlling them and controlling you, right? Until they give you the money back, or when so how much control are we using and creating, right? With that. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you don't, you will not allow yourself, if you are concentrated on how much somebody owes you or you owe someone, you will not allow yourself to make more than that.
To create in a different way.
Yes, in a different way, and to receive more than that,
Mhm.
because that is the judgment that you are keeping the boundaries on your capacity to receive, create, right, and generate
Wow.
and give. Yeah, yeah. So it's amazing. I love this title, Out of Control, and I love the design of top too.
Thank you. You're my first guest. I'm so super honored to have
How about the right
you.
lipstick?
Perfect. And I love it because we share some um like out of control with language. Like we both love language, and you facilitate that for people, and I also facilitate that. And I love it. So tell me about it, or tell us about it. Like, what do you get to that is to be out of control with language? Because you have to be willing to be out of control if you want to talk another language.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even if you want, I love the way you say that. If you want to talk another language, even if it is your mother tongue.
What? What do you mean, guys?
A lot of times, and we play with twos, a lot of times, there's so many ways to say, to communicate it. But when my father-in-law, right here in Italy, he's not in body anymore. And he was a very well-known architect, you know, and would could talk with the governor, could talk with really house owners and everything, and loved talking with the fruit sellers and the mechanics, and um, it was his language, his way of communicating. You know what I mean? That never made anyone feel diminished or out of place. So obviously, he was not in judgment of the way he talks. There's something else I want to share that's just the opposite side of the coin. I mean, English, in theory, American is my mother tongue. And French was my second language. Spanish was my third language. When Italian came in as my fourth language, I was actually judged for using Spanish words in Italian. So I sort of had to,
Wow.
yeah, set it aside. But anyway, but um, I remember just with loving to speak with an accent. And I encourage people to do that all the time, and that you don't have to say things, especially in English, in quote unquote a perfect way, because over 50% of the people who speak in English don't have it as a first language, and probably over 40% don't have it as a second language
Yeah,
either.
I mean,
So,
In English, if you speak perfectly, you will sound like weird because
Yeah,
everybody has an accent here, right?
exactly. And I love speaking in English with a French accent because didn't you know it is very funny because if you speak in English with a French accent with French people who think they don't understand English, they will understand you. It is very,
Yeah,
very funny. And I think I speak in English with a French accent better than the French people speak in English with French accent. And when I speak in French, it is a little bit an English accent. But to play with it and use it actually to have fun. And I always invite people in my language, workshops. It's not about teaching people a language. It's actually how to play with it. And also ask them, what are the words that excite you?
yes.
What are the words that actually stimulate you? Right? It's a strange word in that I'm gonna say, like however.
Hmm.
In Italian is dunque. How do you say it in Spanish?
However, sin embargo,
Sin embargo.
I
Sin
think
embargo. I love that word. I love those two words. Sin embargo.
yeah,
Without it,
mine too was.
without it, without its two words. I love it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And also, so being willing to be out of control with language allows you also to express um, you and who you are, no matter what the perfection of the words are you're choosing. And that gets people present with you and wanting to hear you and wanting to listen to you. And
Wow.
I often tell people, throw in a little word from in your language, when you're speaking a different one, because people are like, oh, what is that? You know? And yeah, I just love, I remember once I had a gal here. She was, we were both on, Zoom calls, right? I had invited her to dinner. So we were both on Zoom calls. She was doing one in German. I was doing one in French. We were speaking English together. And then she started talking to her partner in Swedish on the phone.
Wow.
I was talking in Italian to my husband. And then we'd sit down and having it. And you know what, Rebecca? I realized I was so delighted by those couple of hours with all those languages going. It just stimulates me in a way. I love it. And I remember once I was having a 3-day body class in Vienna, and I had like four languages. I think there was German translation, there was French translation, and there was English, of course, and there was Hungarian. I don't remember what the other one was. We all were hysterical laughing with the Hungarian translation. I mean, we totally didn't understand it, but we all wanted to listen to it. Like when they translators weren't translating, when they were taking turns, they all had the head cuff on for the Hungarian. So it's so how cool is it? Yeah, just so many things.
I love it. You say something about playing with these energies and playing with your body also, right? Because your body's gonna, perceive the language like different. For me, when I'm listening Italian, it's like, oh my gosh, I swear that I have like so many lifetimes being Italian or with Italian lovers because for me it's like, Italian.
And how many times have you been an Italian lover?
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, and also, once I remember I was in Milan there with these at a workshop, and there were these gals from Poland there, right? They were translating also, and we were up in their room in the hotel room, and they were talking in Polish while we were getting ready to go to dinner, and I don't remember the word they said, but it was almost like poopsie or something like that. I don't remember it. I've got to ask my friend what it was. But hearing it, and they were giggling, but hearing this word, Rebecca, was so delightful for me. I said, what does that word mean? What is that word? And they said, oh, it means this and this. I said, say it again. I really like it. And I asked myself, the question, what would my life be like if I grew up with the energy of that word
Wow.
around me? Because it delighted my body.
Right.
So I often ask people, in the communication, workshops, what is the language your body speaks? That if
Woo!
you're feeling to be out of control, would be a continuous dialogue between
Wow.
you and your body. Yeah.
Yes.
So much, right? So much to play with. And you have this keen capacity with language, um, that is not at all judgmental, and it is at the same time able to put icing on the cake. We work together with translating books, and you're helping with my new book, Dancing with Riches. I'm so excited about it. Uh,
Yes,
it
too.
it's I don't know if you get that not everyone has the same quality.
No.
Yeah,
Like you are saying this, and I was like, is she talking about me or in general? I was asking me like,
yeah.
oh, thank you. I mean, yeah, what else is possible? I just love, for me, it's like about gratitude. When I start to learn English or just speak English, I was like, what if I can be so grateful for this country that I allow myself to speak their language? Um, not from the space of I need, just from the space of I'm so grateful for you that I will do my best to communicate with you in the best way that I can or that is possible for me. So that's what I get with language. When I translate the books, it's like, wow, I'm so grateful for these books. Um, yeah, what contribution can I be? It's just about gratitude. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, it's something like that.
Wow. So, what comes up for me when you say that it's just about gratitude. When you're willing to enter into that space of gratitude, does being out of control become natural?
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I love you.
Wow. Wow. All right. So, what invitation can we be for people when they're feeling locked up, when they're feeling like they're being control freaks, to just ask the question, so what could I be grateful for at the moment that would
Mm-hmm.
allow me to be out of control?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something, this clearing statement with access, this verbal process about being out of control, I love it. I think that because it used to be in we can talk about access here, right?
Yeah, of course. We can
Yeah.
talk whatever you want.
Yeah, well, there used to be in the reference material taken out, and I think my experience in the with the horse in Costa Rica had it brought back into the manuals.
Wow.
But it also helped me to release a fear of heights
Wow.
that wasn't mine,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and that when I was going into control, then it would rise up, and I use this because I said I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have it. And that time with the horses in Costa Rica, and I went further into Costa Rica afterward and did zip lining.
Wow.
Get to burst away from that control. Isn't that amazing? So
It is.
what is it? Um, yeah, what is it that actually funnels people into functioning from control and trying to not be wrong?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's rightness, of course. If you have to be in control, if you have to be right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and just this is just coming up for me now. I get that too, being right. But sometimes it's maybe it's not even about being right. It's just about not being wrong.
Or about being right in the wrong that you are or being.
Right, because if you like if you if and this is about not being willing to step up and be seen, but if you are trying not to be wrong, if you're being wrong, you'll be seen. If you're being too right, you might be seen. But just how much does that control actually not allow us to be brilliant and shine, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so even verbally, like using words in languages that may not make sense, but they actually communicate, right, the truth of you.
Exactly. And I guess that that's why people is so scared to talk another language because they are actually, they can't control what they are showing. Like you,
Exactly.
uh-huh.
Exactly. And that using being willing to use words, right? In a strange way. I love when people do that, really, when they're speaking in a language and they choose a word that you would never put in that particular way, but it actually is brilliant and expresses something in a very different way. I invite people to do that, to speak to someone. If someone's being in control and you would like to um, have them be present with you and communicate with you, um, pretend you don't speak that same language they speak. So that they're not there controlling, right,
Mhm.
themselves and you. Yeah, pretend you don't. If you're speaking with an accent, that play with it. How can you use that? Um, how can you use that actually to invite people to be less in control and more beyond control? Yeah,
Right.
I like to call it. Yeah,
Yeah. Ah, I love it, Cass.
yeah.
So, well, I mean, what is like? We are just finishing. We passed time already. Um, I love it. So, what are your next classes? Where people can find you?
Well, people can certainly find me at kassthomas.com. And I'm starting in April this three steps program. I think I told you about it, and it's really about inviting people to step into their lives and connect with themselves in a really simple way, continuously on different topics every month. That's the first step. Step up every month and be willing to have your talents and abilities work for you in different areas of your life and to step out and share them with the world, and how that shows up in business and family and relationships, different pillars every month. And that's basically what I do with all my classes, this three steps. So it's a great program with minimum 3 months participation with guests, and maybe you can come on and talk about language
Yeah,
too.
I
That
love to. And do
and
you
inspirational
have like,
speakers and experts on motivational speakers on
wow.
various topics. Yeah, so I'm doing some up. It starts April 1. It's not a joke.
Okay.
But until then, I'll be doing, of course, my access classes, my 7 steps to communication classes, and some free previews into about this three steps program. So I hope you would come. And that's the number three steps.us. Us.
I love it.
I
Okay.
love it too.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm just super grateful for you. Yeah, and we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Au revoir. Adios.
Adios.